podcast that I would like to make available, particularly for moms, for parents, for caregivers, for people that are, we're given the responsibility and at a very good capacity, we're shifting and gearing the story that we're passing along to the generation to come. So I am always very curious in understanding how is it that we can do more and better by being who we are and by really falling into our integrity as individuals, and in being that example and moving and learning and living and laughing with that we actually want to pass along, rather than concepts that are in the mind or the should be's of a frame of reference. Because as you can tell us eventually, I think you can explain a bit more of your experience by moving from culture to culture, from place to place. I don't know if it's your experience, but it is mine that once one moves from one culture to the other, what looks right and preferable in one culture, it's exactly the opposite in a different culture. And then what is it really that we're holding on as the basis and values? What's right, what's wrong, what's preferable, what's like to be resisted, what's evil, what's a God-given opportunity. So it's in that light that I would like to just stir consciousness and what happens inside of you, and what's your experience of humanity at large when you have a vivid experience that everybody understands the game, let's call it, like a very local game, and a game at large, in very different with very different concepts and values. So what's your experience of that?
I mean, just like being so young and traveling, going from culture to culture, I think was really enlightening, because I think when you grow up in one place, or you have like a very limited experience with the world, your image of the world has tend to be shaped in like a certain way, just based off of like what you would learn in school, or based off of what like you learn in your own culture. And I think once you get out into the world and you experience different cultures, you really see like how big the world really is, and how different each culture is, and how important it is to understand more than just your culture.
Where would you say was your center, your core, your balance when you would move from a culture that would, let's say, resist or punish certain behaviors, and moving to a different one where those same behaviors are the ones that are welcome, and this is what we actually respect and acknowledge? Where's your balance? Where did you hold on to? How did you deal with your own self?
Well, I think I kept an open mind, and in some things I allowed my view, I think, to be affected, and to change my views on some things, but others I stayed true to myself. Like, I think one example is here, corporal punishment is not allowed. It's not a thing that is accepted in our culture right now, but in Asia and in like Malaysia and in China, it's still a valid form of education, and it's used like all over in Asia. And that was one thing that my parents were very against when I went to schools there. They didn't want them to use that punishment on me because it wasn't a part of our culture, and because, it was physical punishment. And that's one thing.
Can you tell us more about that? What does that mean?
They still use a bamboo cane to like hit the children on the hands, on the rear, like everywhere, and it's still widely used there for just like for like large punishments, and for little punishments like, I don't know, not doing your homework, or like not coming back to class on time. And it was used on me without my consent, and my parents got really mad because they weren't supposed to cane me, because they asked them not to cane me, and they said they wouldn't, but they did. So that was
fascinating.
Yeah.
And what would you say we do in this side of the world, in this story? What do you think we do that looks so absolutely weird? Just what you described. What do you think we do that we're not even
That we're not aware of?
Yeah, we're not even aware.
I don't know. Honestly, I have no clue. Maybe I feel like our focus on appearance in the United States, or maybe just in California, but I think across the United States is really important to us, and I think that's not as important for other cultures, and I didn't realize that. But we focus a lot on our outer appearance and how we present ourselves to others, and I think other cultures just, it's more common for them to accept themselves for like who they really are.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow. And now tell me, what would you say, out of like your going and really experiencing yourself, because you were really living in so many different places. Maybe you can like tell us which were those places and whatever caused more impact on you. But if I have to tell you that you're a scientist and you're picking elements of humanity to put in Noah's Ark and to rescue this quintessential elements of humanity, what would you pick from where, and what happens if I say this?
That's a tough question. I think I would pick. Honestly, I don't even know. I'd have to like really think about that.
But what comes forward?
What comes first?
Just, it doesn't have to be like, it's just really what comes forward naturally.
I think the Chinese culture, like their awareness of just like respect for others and like respect for elders, and not elders necessarily, but just like their respect, their emphasis on respect for people in general is a lot more apparent than it is in like all other cultures, like our cultures. Like they have a lot of emphasis on respect for elders, and I mean, like I think there's some things that I agree and I disagree. Like I think that like you respect who respects you and who should be respected, not necessarily just because they're older or you know they have more experience. But I think that their emphasis on respect for people in general is really important, because I feel like not everybody respects people enough anymore.
It's beautiful. What other thing would you say, and from where?
I would say the Hispanic values for family and their roots, because that's not something that we have a lot in like our American culture, is like, you know, because our roots are kind of from like all over the place, and like we don't really have, you know, like white people, we don't really have like, you know, a strong culture. But because like I'm half Hispanic, my dad's like 100%, and so one thing that I noticed when we lived in Spain was just really their focus on family and like traditional values, and like, well, not necessarily traditional values, but just like going like back and like spending time with their family and like understanding like where they came from and stuff.
I agree. Being Hispanic
Yeah.
myself, it's something of the most valuable thing I have in
Yeah.
my heart.
Just being proud of like your heritage.
And always feel that sense of belonging.
Yeah, right.
Unquestionable belonging. And then the also the challenge of making it functional and
Yeah.
not fall into dysfunctional like attachment
Yeah.
or belief system that are not necessarily helping anybody, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And then if I ask you, where would you like, if you would choose one culture to raise a family, out of your experience, what would you choose and why?
I would definitely choose Spain.
Oh, really?
Because like
Fascinating.
I'm half Spanish, and so I have such like roots there, and I have so many amazing experiences. Like I spent 4 years of my life, like I spent from when I was 6 to when I was 10, like off and on. I went to school there. it's really, I just love the culture. Like, I love hearing Spanish. Like, I love the language. I love everything about it. It's my favorite country.
¿Hablas español?
Sí.
¡Ay, qué emoción! ¿Y tú crees que te vas a ir a vivir ahí alguna vez?
Sí, por ciento.
¡Ay, qué bien! ¡Qué bien! ¿Qué años viviste ahí?
Desde que tenía 6 años hasta 10.
¿Y tú crees que tiene que ver con esos particulares años de tu vida?
Sí, sí, definitivamente.
¡Wow! ¡Qué emoción! ¡Qué emoción! ¿Y qué quieres ahora? ¿Qué estás buscando? ¿Dónde estás dentro de ti?
No lo sé.
¿Estás tranquila? ¿Estás contenta? ¿Estás viviendo aquí en los Estados Unidos?
Sí, me gusta los Estados Unidos, pero me encanta España. Es mi sitio favorito. Los Ángeles y España.
Ay, qué
No sé.
emoción, qué linda. Y entonces ahora estás cantando, estás haciendo arte,
Sí.
¿qué estás haciendo?
Sí, estoy cantando, estoy haciendo todo. No sé, estoy cantando, estoy haciendo música y todo y bueno, mi español no es como era cuando era más pequeño.
¿Qué crees?
Pero-
Tienes el mejor acento y tienes la mejor actitud. Eres preciosa, eres una mujer preciosa, preciosa. But let's go back to English also because this will help like the podcast that eventually I would like it to be in English and Spanish both, but we have to figure that out in regards to the audio. And that's really fascinating. So you would say out of the Spanish, that sense of community, and you would say out of the Chinese, that respect for elders. And then what would you say you would say this is an amazing skill, tool, essence that I took for my self-esteem?
I think the major tool I took was just to accept people and to understand that everybody's going through something different and you can't always see the struggle that somebody's going through, but that everybody has like an inner struggle that they're going through that they don't tell you about, and that it's important for you to understand that not everybody has the same difficulties that you face, and in different cultures, like, we sometimes take privilege for granted, like our own privilege. I know, like, for me, I have, and I didn't realize it until I went to other cultures and I understood that, other people face issues just for just having a different color of skin, and it's heartbreaking because you don't realize what you have and what somebody else has until you really just see it in action.
It's beautiful and super compassionate, and definitely I can see how that brings you back into a core source of self-esteem, of like a self that is related with a more authentic sense of existing.
Yeah.
Not a personality, not a color, not a culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you so
for-
much for sharing yourself. And this is
Yeah.
not only generous but super enlightening, and more to come, hopefully.
Yeah.
Would you say your name and if you have a site or something so people can listen to you or follow you?
Yeah, my name is Mozart, and I'm on all platforms, social media, my website. It's Music by Mozart, music with a Z.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
doing
thank
this.
you.
Very nice. Thank you.